There's one thing stronger than all the armies of the world, Victor Hugo. One thing stronger than all the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. I love that quote. I have referred to it many times in my life, and it's more than, oh, I know that quote. Knowing is a beautiful attribute of our lives, and yet knowing more than anything leads to what we see. And so in your own life right now, perhaps you have an army or two. I'm not talking about the armies in uniforms. Those are the most obvious. I'm talking about the believability somewhere that something or someone could possibly be against you. Everybody breathe, and something or someone could possibly be against you. For some people, it's as subtle as planning ahead for the weather. For other people, it's something much more dramatic, or something within their office. But out of these armies, out of these adversarial things that Michelle was referring to, we're able to then birth a new idea. Somewhere, someone along the way got tired of trying to hold cloth together or pull things together. And so oddly enough, they invented this silly little thing called the safety pin, right? Somebody wanted to leave notes and not have them be permanent or write them on the wall or something that would use huge sheets of paper. And so out of that, an idea was born called the stick-it note, the post-it note. I don't know about you. I can't imagine my life without post-it notes. I hope in the afterlife they have post-it notes. I mean, they're just really important. You know, they're just really significant to have them. But it's part of our own evolution that when we are going through something and something is wanting to go through us, that we spend more time on looking at what is the idea that's wanting to be birthed from this, right? Rather than the 80% of the time going into, why is this happening to me? I go to church, I tithe, I don't understand. I've been a good person, you know, with the violin playing in the back. No, we're waiting on, when something like that happens in your life, you go, whoa, where did this come from? You start doing the clap. There's an idea on its way. Practice. There's an idea on its way. So then you shift and you start looking for it. I'm sitting here watching this young woman, and I'm almost in tears as I know that the largest percent of her life is that she is blind. But that girl can play a piano like a piano was born to play. Take yourself a standing ovation. Yes. And I'm like, if she can do that, look, what an inspiration of what she can do. Yes, she just became a member here and took Reverend Richard's class. And what a gift she is. I was looking at the prodigal son, and I was reading that once again in Luke. And most of you know the story, or you may know the traditional way you were taught the story. We're not doing that story. But in that space, we're looking at two sons that are going to inherit their father's kingdom, his land and all that he has. And so the younger son says, I want mine right away. I'm going to go out and use it. And I'm going to go out into a foreign country, something I don't understand. And I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to party, and I'm going to give it all I got. And he finds himself like, wow, it ran out. His good ran out. And so he comes running back home and says, whoa, you know, help me. I deserve to be in this place of wealth and well-being. While the older son stayed home all the time, very dedicated, and kept each and every day doing what was required of him. I've had a different aha moment with that. And that now I can see that that's what happens to so many people who come into a metaphysical community. Is they become like the young son. They grab a hold of this teaching. It's so exciting. Oh, I'm working with the law of attraction. Oh, I watched The Secret. Oh, I know if I use my mind a certain way, oh, things are going to happen. And boy, do they start doing it at first, don't they? And you just get, this is interactive. It's okay if you participate. You know, it's like, oh, yes, oh my gosh, I did this affirmative prayer, wow, and my life has just changed in so many ways. And woo, this is exciting stuff. And they're usually on the front row every Sunday. Woo, they are in, okay? And nothing towards any of you. And so then something happens in their life. And they run out, like that young boy. And they start thinking, does this work? I don't know that this works. And sometimes we're both of those individuations, aren't we? But there's something to be said about that mature metaphysical young son that keeps doing the same thing time and time again. It's like the college graduate couldn't wait to tell the farmer about all the new scientific ways of irrigation and everything they could do to make a farm a super duper farm. And the farmer looks at him and goes, son, I really appreciate it, but I'm still learning how to do what I already know to do, and I'm learning how to do it better. Everybody breathe? So it's a practice, and it's every day. If you find yourself right now with something in your life that is wanting to pull you in different directions, be so proud of yourself, because it means that your soul is wanting to take you to the next level of understanding. And your soul is not going to let your personality settle. Because our personalities sometimes just want to pick up a chair and drink a virgin mimosa and just call it a day. And life doesn't work like that, because life is about what you give to the table of understanding and of participation. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like, what is it? And I've asked myself this question since I was in ministerial school. What is it that makes history makers? What is it? What is that core, that part, that determination, that spirit versus history takers? Well, that's the way it is. Well, according to the averages, this is what's going to happen. Oh, well, this is the way they're predicting. The history takers. What is that distinction? New Thought has been telling us that forever humankind has control over its own destiny. And then we question often with our own ponderings how deeply engaged and enrolled we are in that. Wow. Powerful. Powerful. Stephen Covey would say, anything less than a conscious commitment to the important is an unconscious commitment to the unimportant. Yes? So you think about that in your practice, and watch it this week, and be aware of it when you're journaling or you're talking to your love mate over dinner about what within a day did you give conscious attention to, and how important was it, and how significant, and does it even matter anymore? BB's son is getting married this week, and we have blended families from everywhere, from all over the country. And we're sitting there at all these events, and we're saying, isn't it beautiful that all this blending can come together? And we've all grown up. We're learning that most of the stuff we give our energy to, it does not matter. And if it doesn't fit in a vase for your 45-minute speech, it's not worth 45 minutes of your time right now. Yes? And so we're in that space. When I think of someone so dedicated to, as Michel Pascal, he can be in Nepal and then fly here the next week. I mean, he flies to Nepal and India like you and I take Uber to downtown. Okay, and it's true. And he, just goes and scoots here and scoots there. And his dedication is the world's medicine. That's his dedication. And the beauty of the world. And I look at how intensely he has spent all this time and months and everything from the spirit of giving to build this app that is free. Unlike so many that, this is an entrepreneur idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just talking about how he continues to shift it Because in 2019, and I want you to hold this, because we're very powerful people here, aren't we? That was a very powerful reaction. We're very powerful people here. We're very powerful people here. I want you to hold with me. In 2019, we will have 5 billion phones in the world. 5 billion. Okay? Exceeding half of the world's population. And it's true for those of you that travel. I've seen it many times. You can go to parts of the world that are dilapidated, and you can see the kids over on the side, and they have a phone. Computer, whatever we call it, camera. I mean, it's the, one-stop shop that we hold in our hands. So hold that those individuals will come to understand something that will actually help them, mature them in their own metaphysical way of looking at life, so they can see all the beauty of the world. And if you haven't looked at it, once you do, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And so in that consciousness, when we think about history makers and history takers, I think of one of the biggest words to me is being grateful. Just being grateful. We were on a cruise, as many of you know, and we docked in Fort Lauderdale. And we were getting in the car, and we knew that we really needed to focus to get home to St. Petersburg, because I was doing Lisa Trafford's memorial. And so just as soon as we got outside of the busyness of Fort Lauderdale, we pulled up to a service station, and we parked, and BB said, we need gas in the car. I went, got it. She went to another building to the restroom, and so I'm like, wanting to pump the gas, the pump is broken. And then I move the car, we pull up to another one, and then, well, it won't take my card. I went, I'm kind of complete with this, And so she gets in the car, we drive away, and then we drive on that long stretch that absolutely nothing but horses and alligators are happening. And she goes, well, the gas hand hasn't gone up any. And I said, I didn't put any in it. It was just way complicated. I mean, it just didn't feel right, didn't resonate with me whatsoever. And she said, it's a trip living with me. What can I tell you? So anyway, I said, she said, you didn't put any in there. We were already on empty. And this is a new vehicle to us. And so she said, it says that we have 15 miles left to zero. So I start using my imaginary mind and wanting to create service stations that absolutely don't exist. And I keep looking it up, and I keep looking, and then I ask for forgiveness from my arrogant moment of not getting gas there. And I go, whatever, just do not make everyone in the car pay for where I was at in the moment, right? And so anyway, the short of the story is our friend said, my dad said that you're never really empty. You're never really empty, that you always have another gallon or so in your car. Thank you. Talk about faith. It went all the way to zero. It stayed at zero. We went 28 more miles on zero. So would I do that often? No. But am I immensely grateful? Absolutely. There's something about spirit that no matter what, you're never, ever gonna run out. It's right there, it's emerging, and that's the difference, that's the difference. That's the answer between the history makers and the history takers, is that within your core, you're never gonna run out. Even at the end, when your name gets pulled, you're not going to run out. You're going to have some kind of activity going on, some kind of energetic presence, some kind of something that you're going to be laying out before you, because you are still going to allow your presence in the spirit to work through you and as you in that power. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yes. And the other element that significantly makes people so powerful is that you have a vision of what is calling you. So you're looking for this idea to become something that becomes substance, that you're able to put that in perspective. Reverend Dr. Michael in Agape was telling a story, and he said that as he would go to work, to his office, so many times during the week, that he would see a homeless man there, and occasionally he had actually stopped and talked to the guy or given him money or took him a cup of coffee or something. And he said, but he found himself that when he would be there at that particular place with that man, that he would say, how can an articulate, a really energetic man that has the level of being dynamic, how did he wind up here? How can that happen? He said he asked that question quite often. And he said one day he was in his office and he got a certified letter in the mail. It was the government calling in a tax debt that Michael owed. That was thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And he said, I got my answer. That's how that can happen. He said, I need to change the question to not be asking that, because my mind is creating a scenario that will make it true, you see. So it's that space of that idea. What idea is wanting to be born within you? One of the things that I have so much fun with, probably more so than you, because some of you have heard it, but oh well. I love to, up until I was 45, tell my mom that I thought I was adopted, as I was so different from her and them and those and all that. And I would say, it's okay to tell me this year. After my dad died, a couple of years after that, I went, okay, let's you and I talk. I was adopted, right? And she would go, will you just give that up? You are not adopted. I birthed you. We were in labor 48 hours. I still hurt when I see you. You were not adopted. But what I realized is that I needed to change the idea of that. And I needed to change the question. I wasn't adopted, but what was happening is I was adopting to a world that was not mine to fit in. So it wasn't about my family. It wasn't about religiosity. It wasn't about those people or that experience over there. It's that I was allowing myself to be adopted, because I would hold back, because I would think, they're not going to understand that. And I would make adjustments to the people and the connections and the spaces and the experiences. My greatest nudging for you, don't do that. Don't cheat anyone, anytime, any way from you. Don't make any adjustments, because otherwise, in the spirit of giving, you will have everything and everyone making adjustments to you, and it will not be real, nor will it be authentic. God bless you. Thank you.